What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA channel. And today's video is all about Colby Covington and what he's now trying to do in his UFC career. And essentially, it comes down to what the avenues by which he's been trying to stay relevant and blow up and be a star in the UFC, and how now at this point it's just no longer working. And that's why this is titled when playing the heel goes terribly wrong, because that's exactly what's happened. It was working. There was a time when I was always excited to see Colby Covington on a fight card, and it really made sense when he was vying for a championship and he was at the top of the division. And people were saying if it were not for Kamaru Usman, he would have been the UFC welterweight champ. But the same gimmick of talking down to fighters and talking so emphatically about himself and how good he is, it feels really silly now because of the fall from grace, the people that he's lost to recently, losing to Buckley pretty badly, running away from Ian Gary and not taking that fight. And all that's fine in the sense of if you're trying to pick your fights strategically to some extent. I know we always say, hey, we love to see the fighters that are just true fighters that'll fight anybody, like actually Ian Gary, who's fighting Carlos Prates right now. But I also understand the business aspect and looking out for yourself. So you do want to pick fights strategically. So I don't want to totally beat up on him for that. But when you look at the way that he's trying to seek out fights compared to what he's saying, that incongruence just looks really, really ridiculous. And it just seems like now everything's falling apart for Colby. And I would normally feel bad for a fighter in this position because it really seems like the walls are closing in on him. But I can't feel bad. And you're going to see examples of why in this video, because Colby just has no respect for anybody. And we can say all day long that this is an act and he's playing a character, but the words that he's saying have real impact and real meaning. Case in point, what he said about Leon Edwards' father passing away. I mean, that's just something he look at the emotional reaction. He caused Leon had to calm down. He was crying in the back. I mean, these words have real effect and meaning. So you can say you're playing a character all you want, but if you go out and you attack somebody or you physically hurt somebody or emotionally hurt somebody, that's real. And so you can't hide behind that defense. He's doing, in my opinion, bad things, and therefore I don't really feel much remorse for how things are going, but it's clearly not working. And I don't know who's giving him this advice to keep going down this route. And because it just looks silly. And at the end of the day, we're MMA fans. We're not WWE fans. This character, this fakeness, these fake beefs, it's almost a little insulting because I'm not a WWE fan. I'm just a UFC fan because I want to see the truth. I want to see reality. I don't want to see fake stuff. And it's just not my cup of tea. And on top of that, I feel what he's doing is just plain wrong. So let's back it up to the beginning of where the first time he started mentioning Paddy Pimblett. This is a submission radio interview from just over 3 weeks ago. So check this out. This is when he's asking about who are you thinking of fighting next?
There's a lot of people chirping. You got that little kid from across the pond. Paddy's starting to chirp some shit. We know he has trouble making lightweight. So, that's a big fight we can do at welterweight. We got Chandler running his mouth.
So again, by the way, in this video, he calls out, I think, Michael Chandler, Paddy Pimblett, two guys that are in a weight class below him. Paddy's never had trouble making weight. That's just made up. And Paddy never has really said anything about Colby. He's only talked about Colby in response to things that Colby has said. So all of this is just a made up narrative in his mind. But again, the reason why it sounds ridiculous and falls really flat is because he's still speaking with this bravado, which, like, again, made sense when he was one of the best and was trying to get a title shot against Kamaru Usman. And he got those, multiple title shots, trying to get one against Leon Edwards. But now, as he's not even trying to take on guys in his division, but he's trying to fight guys in a lower weight class, that, Paddy is not going to come up. It doesn't even make sense. So from a strategic business perspective, I don't know why he's going about this, but maybe he truly feels like this is the only shot that he can have of getting a reasonably big name where he can have somewhat of an advantage. But I think now, after seeing what Paddy did to Chandler, I think Paddy would annihilate Colby, and maybe Colby will eventually realize this, but hasn't yet. But anyways, this is where it began. So once again, just to reiterate, Colby saying he's chirping about him. It's just all completely made up, some fantasy in his mind. All right, now we're going to move on to the incident that happened. I think this is actually before Paddy fought Michael Chandler, but Colby is walking in the back, and then again, it's just total fakeness. It's WWE. It's manufactured. Paddy does not care. He's not. Colby is not on his radar whatsoever. So check out this exchange here.
Bro, you're fighting scrub. You guys are 2 and 6.
I'll come and slap you, and you'll be. I'll come and slap you. Zip your shirt up, you little
You're a
mate.
bum. You mean guys that are 2 and 6? Remember that. Remember that. You're a scrub. You're a fraud. You're a fraud.
Brad, what are you on a 3-fight losing streak?
You get fraud checks so quick.
Hey. Keep putting your act on your.
I love it. He says, keep putting your act on, and he calls him out. So we got to unpack a couple. First of all, again, why I just hate that so much. It's just pure nonsense. He's not even making any sense. It's not real. There's no beef between them whatsoever. So he's just putting on an act and going up and trying to start something with Paddy, knowing that the spotlight's on him to manufacture a beef. And again, as I mentioned before, I kind of take offense to this because I want this is a real sport to me. We see real beefs like between Yair Rodriguez and Diego Lopez, or other fighters like Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria. That'd be amazing. Don't fool me. Don't try and just play the game, because that's not what I'm here for. I want to see real. And if there is no beef, let there be no beef. Let it just be about the fight. So again, I don't like that. And okay, so here's the funniest part though about that entire interaction. Colby just argued logically against Paddy fighting him, because what did he say about Paddy fighting Michael Chandler? He's like, first of all, he said it wrong. He said, you're fighting a guy with a 2-6 record. It was actually 2-5. Now it's 2-6. Or no, sorry. Now it was 2-4, but now it's 2-5. But he said, hey, you're fighting a bum with a 2-6 record. Basically saying he shouldn't be fighting him. He should be fighting Colby. But look at this. Look at Colby's record in the last fight. He's 2-4 himself. So he said 2-6, but 2-4 was actually Michael Chandler's record before he fought Paddy. And this is exactly Colby's record in his last 6 fights, losing to Kamaru Usman twice. I mean, these are really hard fights. He beat Jorge Masvidal, and you got to look back at that fight. It was not domination. Actually, Jorge was doing pretty well. It was a pretty close fight. And then he beat Tyron Woodley, but then he lost to Leon Edwards. And as I mentioned, his most recent loss to Joaquin Buckley. So I just thought that was funny that he would throw that out there without really thinking of, or maybe he did, but he thought people wouldn't notice. But yo, you just argued yourself logically, or you just basically convinced Paddy not to fight you, because what's the point? Also, who's giving him advice? There's no chance that Paddy at this point is going to move up to welterweight. He's in the mix now. I haven't checked the rankings yet today. Actually, let me check the rankings and see if they're updated. But Paddy is now a top 10 fighter. Probably he might even be top 7 here. Let me see right now. Top 7 or top 6. No, they haven't updated the rankings yet. Darn it. Okay, I was really hoping they would have. Oh, wait. No, I'm looking at the wrong division. Hold on. Why is I'm looking at the pound for pound. Oops, give me 1 second. Let's see if they updated the rankings. They made him number 8. Okay, but still, he's ranked number. I thought he was for sure going to be 7th or 6th. Okay, I'm shocked there. But yeah, so Paddy is ranked 8th. Why at this point? He's calling out Charles Oliveira. He's on the title run. Why would he go up and fight? What is Colby ranked? Number 11 or 10? I know he's out of the top 10. Let me see. Colby is ranked. He's ranked 9th. Okay. Why would he go up a weight class to fight Colby Covington in the top 10, right? Like, it makes no sense. He's on the cusp. He's like one fight, one more win, and he's got a title shot. So I don't know who's giving him this advice, because it at the end of the day, with the shtick and the way that he's talking, to me, it just makes Colby look completely stupid. All right. Now we're going to move on to the next statement, to the next interview he does with the Full Send interviewer. And I'm just going to go along and play parts of this and just talk about it and give my commentary and feedback. And along the way, you're also going to see another instance, another reason why I don't feel bad at all that this isn't working and this is falling flat and this is making Colby look ridiculous, because he just has absolutely no respect for anybody. And I think where he's at right now, and respect to any fighter who's trying to transition into doing something else, but where he's at right now is he's at that point and he's trying to grasp at straws and do something else. But the problem is I think because of all the damage that he's done to other fighters and to his own reputation, I don't think he's going to have many options. On top of that, I know he mentioned working on the desk or doing commentary, but you hear him speak, and I know he's trying to get better, but I just don't think that's a skill set that he necessarily possesses, at least not right now. I suppose he could work on it, but I think that's going to be difficult. On top of that, who's going to want Colby calling their fights at this point when he's done all the egregious things he has? I imagine he's trying to follow Chael Sonnen's lead. The difference between him and Chael is that while Chael was a tremendous trash talker and definitely did what he did, Colby's just gone to a new level, and a new level of low in terms of the horrendous things he said about people with no boundaries. And you're going to see an instance of that here. But anyways, let's listen to what Colby says the day after Paddy put on a massive beating to Michael Chandler. One of the most brutal beatings I've ever seen. Actually, almost made me sick at some points when you see those vicious 12-6 elbows landing repeatedly, and just Chandler's face so battered. I legitimately was starting to feel bad because it was just such a one-sided victory. But anyways, listen to Colby here.
He's been loving to run my name through his mouth in the media. You know, he talks about me every chance he gets. So I just said, hey, what's up, bro?
I like it. I can't even anymore. Talks about him every chance he gets. He never talks about you. He never talks about Colby unless he's asked about Colby, or because of that interaction where Colby did it. And Chael is talking, saying how it's such a smart move because he knows there's going to be eyeballs on Paddy. It's just silly. It would be like Francis Ngannou having a fight and at a presser just going up and yelling at Francis, and then Chael saying, hey, that would be so smart. That's so smart because you know all the eyes are on Francis, but it's not Francis is not going to fight you. He's not going to cut down to 170 and fight you. So what are you doing? You're just making a fool of yourself, in my opinion. But anyways, just pointed that out. All of this is fantasy land in Colby's head, just grasping at straws, trying to get this fight against this mystery fight, this imaginary fantasy fight against Paddy.
Bro, you want to talk to me to my face right now? So say something now. You know, like he has nothing to say. You know, he had a mic, you know, in Vegas when I fought in the title fight, and he didn't say shit. He sat there like a good little bitch and didn't.
He didn't say anything because he doesn't care, because he's not trying to get into a fight with you. Yeah, exactly. You just, again, this is the second time Colby has proved himself wrong. Yes, he never said anything. And by the way, Paddy responds to or brings up another point where they were in the same vicinity and Colby didn't say a word. So obviously this is all just one big show, one big act. You already know that. You don't need me to tell you that, but I'm just reinforcing that notion.
Say shit. He didn't say his little sausage lines. He didn't fucking, you know, that Ellen DeGeneres looking fucking nerd. He had nothing to say. You know, he was fucking piped down like the little bitch he is. So, you know, I'm just sick of him running my name through his mouth. I'm going to confront you and we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about facts, though. The facts are the combined losing streak of his last 3 opponents, 13-fight losing streak. 13-fight losing streak. The guy's never going to get to a title fight. He's never going to be a champion. He's a fucking bum. And, you know, all he does is mumble fucking sausages all day. That's all he fucking can say.
So this was
MMA Joey did a video on this interview earlier today, and he's talking about the mumbling, and he made the point. He's like, Colby mumbles more than anybody. I do have to agree with that. Colby has a hard time with his words and often trips over things that he says, even in pressers, even a lot of those pre-manufactured or written down lines that he has ready to go that he's probably rehearsed. He stumbles over them all the time. Just saying, you're going to call out Paddy, which Paddy never stumbles. Paddy is actually a great speaker. What's the saying? Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house.
You're talking about the Leon Edwards fight, right? During that press conference?
During that press conference, he had a live mic. He could say whatever he want while I'm on stage. He's on my undercard, by the way. I'm a real star. I'm not a gimmick like Paddy Pimblett where, oh, yeah, I got a fucking stupid bowl cut and I got an English accent and I look like Ellen DeGeneres. No, I'm not a gimmick. I'm a real fighter, dude.
I don't even know. Like, I wonder if he's doing it, but he's not. But I wonder if he's doing it just for comedic effect. Like, Colby is the definition of a gimmick. He's talked about this on the Candace Owens show. He was about to get cut, and then he decided to put on this gimmick of being the bad boy, of talking smack about Brazilians, and then just going off the deep end after that, and just continuing to talk smack and dress ridiculous and have this whole shtick. I can't. Does he not realize, or does he realize that it's so ridiculous what he's saying that he's just doing it to be funny? That would actually be funny if that was the case, but I don't think that's the case anymore.
I'm a real champion. I've fucking been here and I've done that. You know, he hasn't done shit. He's fighting guys that are, you know, on massive losing streaks. Tony Ferguson, 7-8 fight losing.
Yeah, he shouldn't be doing that. He shouldn't be fighting guys on losing streaks. Wait, what's Colby's record again? I'm going to pull it up one more time. He is on a 2-fight losing streak. So again, you're arguing yourself out of the Paddy fight. That's the third time now.
streak. Michael Chandler, 4-fight losing streak. The guy before that, I don't even know who he fought. He lost to a fucking drug addict. Everybody knows he really lost to that drug addict, fucking Jeff.
So again, this is another point. He calls him Jeff Gordon, Jared Gordon, obviously. So he has no problem dragging anybody's name through the mud. Now, you might look at that comment and say, yeah, it's fairly benign. He's calling him a drug addict. But the thing is, this is real. If you ever listen to Jared Gordon interviews, he talked about being a heroin addict and coming out of it and saving his life. And now he's got a family, and obviously he's a professional fighter, but he had to dig himself out of that. So he's talking about something real. And that's not something to take lightly. You know how difficult it is to get off of opioids. That's why we have this massive opioid epidemic with fentanyl, heroin, and all these other prescription drugs, et cetera. It's a major, major issue. A lot of people don't come out of it and they do die. So imagine somebody going through recovery, changing his life, and then you're just going to flippantly call him a drug addict after all of this recovery. So my point is really pay attention to Colby's words and his actions. And they're not just to be taken lightly or to brush off as an act. He's saying things that are truly impactful and hurtful and negative and hateful. And it's just a big bag of stuff that I don't really want any part of it. And I'm not thrilled that it's a part of the sport anymore, because also too, you could maybe say it kind of had a place when he was on the hunt, when he was on the rise. But now what is he doing? He's falling through the rankings and trying to get fights with guys in the lightweight division. It makes no sense.
Jeff Gordon that he fought. So, dude, everybody knows he's all hype, and I want to be the one to end his hype. He keeps putting my name in his mouth. He's going to end up with my foot in his ass.
Has still not put your name in his mouth, so I guess he's not going to end up with your foot anywhere.
So what did you think of his performance then against Michael Chandler? I know that was the line. You said you fought a guy that, you know, is now 1-5 in his last 6. So obviously you weren't too impressed with that win last night.
2-4.
No, you fought a guy that sat out, you know, his prime years waiting for Conor McGregor, and he was never going to get that fight. So, you know, Michael's over the hill. He's been in too many wars. Like, the guy's 2-7 in the UFC. He doesn't even have a winning record in the UFC. So it's not a high level fight. He didn't beat a world beater, a top 5 guy, a contender. That guy's not a contender. So I didn't think anything impressive. I think Paddy's fucking all hype. And, you know, as soon as he stops fighting that little boy's weight class and he wants to come to a real man's weight class, I'll be waiting for him.
It's not going to happen. Why would he do that? As I mentioned already, a whole thing is nonsensical. He should be. Now, by the way, in that other video on Submission Radio, he called out some other people, some really good ideas. He called out Paul Felder, retired. He called out Nate Diaz, out of the UFC. Nick Diaz, as we all know, who's going through. So those are the other 3 callouts that he had. And actually, all 3 of those would be more likely realistic callouts than Paddy Pimblett. So maybe just go back to calling out Nick Diaz or one of these fighters, because once again, this entire mission is completely devoid of logic.
What do you have to say to the people that are going to be like, oh, Colby's out here just trying to stay relevant. He's trying to, you know, latch on to Paddy because Paddy won last night. What do you think about those comments?
That's just hilarious.
How funny would it be if right then he would just be like, they got me, because that's actually the exact truth what this reporter said. Okay, but then this is Colby's made up nonsensical response.
I've headlined 7 or 8 events. When has he been in the headliner spot? He's the co-main event. You know, I'm hanging out with Donald Trump and Jensen Huang the other day at Mar-a-Lago having dinner with Larry Ellison. I need to stay relevant. Are you kidding me? I'm a made man. How do I need to stay relevant? I have the biggest network in the world. You know, my network is my net worth. So, you know, I hang out with big stars. I am a star. He's not a star. He's a bum. He's a bum, and he's all overhyped. And, you know, I want to end that hype. As soon as he fucking, you know, gets beat up by a top 5 guy and never gets to a title fight, he can come up and get his biggest money fight he's going to get. Come up to welterweight. Stop cutting all that weight to fucking fight these midgets. Come fight a real man in a real man's weight class.
So there you hear the plan right there. I actually missed that the first time I watched this. His plan is to manufacture this beef. He probably does know that there's no chance of Paddy moving up next to fight him. He's doing this for the long game. So he's hoping that Paddy goes up in his next fight against Charles Oliveira or whoever, loses, and then decides, hey, maybe I'll come up and fight Colby after the fact. Okay, that makes a little bit more logical sense. But so we're talking about he's trying to angle for a fight probably, you know, 6 or 9 months from now, depending on when Paddy's next fight is. Yeah, I just still don't see that making sense, because I highly doubt that even if Paddy were to lose to Charles Oliveira or whoever, that he'd just immediately dip and move up to welterweight and fight Colby. Like that whole thing, I still don't think it makes any sense, but at least I can see a little tiny bit more logic there.
So you're a guy that's like notoriously throughout your whole career, you haven't cut a lot of weight to make one.
Okay, we're gonna stop this now. So there's another clip that I have queued up here that is it's just too funny. This is like Colby tried to think on the fly and do some trash talking, and just really listen to what he's saying here. It's absolutely, completely insane. Hold on.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah, if I see him in the same room again, he'll be on his hands and knees, and we'll see who's sucking what. He's a fucking bum. He's
like, did he just say what we think he just said? He's talking about wanting to something weird happening between him and Paddy. What are you really saying? That's the weirdest, creepiest trash talk I've ever heard. Let me rewind it a little bit. So he actually cues it up with what Paddy, I guess, said about him, and then you can hear his response one more time, just for comedic effect. Listen to this.
He was leaving the press room last night, and he said some things. He called you a snitch. He said Colby's a little mushroom. He kind of did one of these. He said Colby can suck this. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, if I see him in the same room again, he'll be on his hands and knees, and we'll see who's sucking what.
I don't even know what to say. It's so bad. Again, when playing the heel goes wrong. At this point, it's just not working. I don't even know what advice I would give to Colby at this point, because I guess I get that I think he's trying to get one more reasonably big fight that he could potentially win, and then he's going to exit out and either trying to use it to push his social media career as a streamer or go to the WWE. So I think that's what he's angling for. But I think the problem with Paddy is I think Paddy would smoke him, and I don't think that's going to go well for him. So these other fights like Nate Diaz or Nick Diaz, I doubt he can get those either. I don't think they'd want to fight him, but something like that, a really, really easy winnable fight, would probably be a better idea. But I guess he's going to keep going at Paddy, and we shall see. All right, now we come to the final portion of this video where Paddy responds to this entire beef, and I think he just lays the smackdown completely on Colby. And again, Colby keeps saying, "Oh, Paddy can't keep my name out of his mouth." It's only when he's been pushed by journalists to respond to what Colby's doing. So check out Paddy's response, and he just nails it on the head and explains exactly what's going on.
You were.
Oh yeah, this little maggot.
You tell us what's going on.
He only does something when there's a camera about.
What happened?
I seen him at Power Slap the other week and walked past him, staring at him, and he looked at the floor like that. And then now he knows there's a camera about. He walks past. So I just said to him, lad, I'll come and slap you, but you'll go and ring the police on me like you did with Masvidal, you little grass.
Little grass, you just said there.
Yeah, do you know what that means?
No idea.
Snitch.
Ah, okay.
Know what I mean? But anyway, he can eat shit. He pays supermodels to stand with him, the fucking bum. He's a nobody. He's on a 3-fight losing streak or something. He's irrelevant. He's trying to use me now to stay relevant because he's a nobody. He's a bum. I'd beat Colby Covington for a laugh, but I've got bigger fish to fry than that little mushroom.
You do. You have a lot of fish to fry.
It's, again, going back to this main point, it's all manufactured. It's all fake. And I think for real MMA and UFC fans, it's just not interesting anymore, because he's trying to throw WWE. I know Ariel and these guys love WWE, but he's trying to throw the WWE into the UFC, and it's just not, I don't think, what fans are interested in whatsoever. It's run its course. It had its time where it was somewhat intriguing, a little bit different, and really funny. It was really, really funny at the beginning, because I think it was almost like he would say things that were so outlandish before he started really crossing the lines and just going very dark. But he would say things that were so obviously outlandish that it was funny. At least that's how I viewed it. And now I guess this is what it's devolved into. Again, you play the heel for so long and then you start sliding. It just has no place. And I guess the way he's trying to compensate or overcompensate for his career sliding is now he gets darker and darker and just saying basically evil stuff. And yeah, I'm not a fan. This is where we're at. Colby desperately trying to call out Paddy Pimblett, I guess angling for a fight if Paddy does lose his next fight. I don't think Paddy's going to lose his next fight. I think Paddy's going to win. I think Paddy's the real deal. And this is one of the most exciting times to be a UFC fan, because we have a star, somebody with this electric personality like Paddy Pimblett on the rise, showing that he's the real deal. Let's go, Paddy. Don't worry about all this nonsense. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys also sort of over the whole Kobe shtick act nonsense? Do you feel the same way I do, or do you disagree? Do you think he's still good for the sport, still has some relevancy? Last but not least, who would you actually like to see Kobe fight next? I still say Ian Gary. I think he talked way too much smack about Ian Gary to now shy away from that fight just because he thinks it's an unfavorable matchup. I'd love to see that fight. Let's go. I hope the UFC will make it, but I don't think they will, because as I mentioned earlier, Ian Gary is fighting Carlos Pratas next. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.